I'm 26, and it feels like my life shattered into a million pieces 6 weeks ago. It started with a new diet, a weird grocery store, and a smell that made my throat close. We met in college, his laughter, the sunlight in our apartment. For years, that was enough. Then he began cooking late into the night, the smells growing stranger. The first time he slapped my hand away from his plate, it felt like a joke. "You wouldn't like it," he said, smiling, and I let it slide. But he ate differently, inhaling his portion like he was swallowing the light itself. Eyes shut. He became defensive about leftovers. I tried not to look too closely, telling myself the small mysteries were just quirks. I told myself 1,000 things to keep from looking at the stove too long. My denial lasted until the night I found him in the basement. He had headphones on, cradling a plate like a holy thing. The smell hit me first. Iron and hot fat and something bright and sweet that made bile burn in my throat. He was unguarded, soft, content, completely different from the man who refused to share his food. I watched him tear apart whatever was on the plate. He bit and chewed and spit out things with a rhythm I couldn't name. Bones, small and pale, clinked. A ring slipped from his lips, flashed and clattered to the floor. My world narrowed to white noise and the tiny sound of metal on concrete. Finger bones, rings that used to glint on someone's wedding photos. I backed away until the staircase swallowed me. I pretended to sleep when he came upstairs, though my nerves felt raw enough to bleed. He kissed me in bed without the smell of blood, without the throbbing of what I had just seen, and some part of me wanted to reach for him and laugh and pretend. The next morning I left for work before him, but the smell followed me like a shadow. When he offered me the new dish in a Tupperware, "For you, babe, I know you wanted to try it," I shook and said no. I kept running until the sidewalks felt far and the office was an aquarium of ordinary people doing ordinary things. Later that day, a coworker told me the news: a body found in the landfill. Details filtered through the fluorescent lights: cut flesh, discarded clothes, a cruelty that had someone in tears. I locked myself in the bathroom for the rest of the afternoon, hands white around the sink tap, and wondered how a life could tilt so far without me noticing the fulcrum. I called the police because staying in the apartment felt like choosing to live with the answer I had already seen. They came, they searched. When they found a freezer hidden behind a false wall in the basement and opened it, the smell that rose was my nightmare magnified. Human flesh wrapped in butcher paper. A forearm cuffed by a bracelet, rings. The investigators talked in measured voices that made my skin crawl. I answered questions and used the word "we" and realized how many things we had meant and how few I'd truly known. They arrested him quietly. He called me once while they were filling out paperwork, said nothing at first, then, I love you. The press ran through the past like a comb through hair. Small stories of gradually escalating obsessions, of placenta bought online as a one-night curiosity, of a college-era craving for salty scabs he admitted to friends as just something I tried. People read "cannibal" like a headline and pointed and clicked. And I read it too, feeling sick to my marrow. I am safe now with a friend who sleeps with a baseball bat on the other side of the bed. I began therapy, which is the only place I am allowed to be anything other than composed. I take self-defense classes because the animal part of me insists on being armored. I did not take the Tupperware back from the police. They returned some small items, a ring, a tooth, and the sight of them has the peculiar effect of making me both nauseous and reverent. Mostly, I feel the restless, quiet horror of betrayal. The idea that the man I loved could be a stranger living inside my house, eating things I can't ever unsee. They say he'll go to trial. They say confinement is likely. They say justice has teeth. I say gaslit because the house still keeps the smell in the corners of my clothes. Sometimes, when the rain hits the pavement just so, my throat tightens and I almost go back to the basement steps in my head, listening for the tiny metallic chime of a ring being spat under concrete. Sometimes the memory is a door I can't close. I don't know if telling this will help me sleep. I don't know if words can scrub out a smell.